I'm Margaret Jo McCullen.
And I'm Terry Rialto. And you're listening to
TC and Jake
on National Public Radio.
Welcome in, folks, for another week. How was your week, Jake?
I thought I told you the folks is racist.
Yeah, I just don't care.
That might have been on a Patreon.
I think that my tone of voice conveyed
the
level of care.
Before I tell you how my week was, I mean, whatever, who cares?
I do.
I do want to tease the Patreon this week.
How are you doing?
I know it's not possible to pay $1 for one episode.
Well, let's write them a letter and see if we can't get Patreon to include that as an option.
That would be cool. Although a lot of people, we'd probably end up netting less. But I do want to say.
But I don't. I just want satisfied customers. I don't care about money.
I think the episode we do either tomorrow or Friday will be worth $5.
Oh, it's an or Friday. I'm noting that.
Well, you have
a little bit of an update.
You have meetings during the time when we might normally.
During the time, whatever. You only found out I have meetings on the call where you were calling to explain that you weren't going to be able to make it during that time. Don't give me meetings.
Well, I could do it remotely, but I don't think we want to do this one remotely.
Okay.
I think we need to be in. Yeah, it's going to be tough. But
I'll do anything you want.
The point is,
I'll cancel the meeting.
Big Daddy killed CPAC.
Yeah, he did a great job.
He absolutely snapped on him, dropped the new tape, and it was kind of like whenever your favorite artist. You know, I don't know if the album's better. I just know if they don't put something out for like 5 years, whatever they put out after that, you're like, this is fucking fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He said White House, small letters. That's White House with small letters, which I think he meant lowercase. That's just a tease.
You know, the small ones.
That's just a tease for you.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to present all this to you, but that's not for today.
Couldn't do that today because we have more important matters, and that is talking to Travis Heim of Heim Barbecue. How's it going, man?
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me.
A repeat guest. I don't know. I'm sure that if there's someone who's not a repeat guest that's listening to this, that they're going to feel tremendously insulted. But I feel like our guest thing at this point is just mostly that we've talked to people within the last 5 years, and we're willing to talk to them again.
Well, the Q guy.
Yeah.
We can introduce one new guest every 2 years.
That's true. I'm looking back at Brick.
Jordan.
We haven't talked about it, but I think that Jordan's going to be on again. I don't want to spring that on you publicly, but I haven't even talked to him, but I think it makes sense.
Of course.
And Travis we talked to several years ago.
But he was only in Fort Worth at the time.
He was only in I think he was just then, maybe he had not even yet opened the River location.
I don't think so. Yeah,
No,
I think we were just
definitely
Magnolia only, yeah.
Okay. So now we find him at an entirely different phase of his life, and I'm excited to learn about that one.
Yeah.
He's
it's
an
an honor to
entrepreneur.
be back. Thank you, guys.
Were you previously aware, as an entrepreneur yourself, how many R's there are in that word? I was surprised.
Yeah.
This is a hot
I haven't
topic.
tried to spell it in a while. Yeah,
That's good.
Well, you're going to be shocked.
Yeah, okay.
By the volume of R's.
Where does it even go?
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like growing up, whoever said they were an entrepreneur was like, oh, you just have a trust fund. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's
pretty
like,
much.
you know, I guess it's a different connotation, but yeah.
But there was a guy on The Bachelorette one time who listed his application or his occupation as pastapreneur. I thought that was exquisite. So if you could work that,
I'm always trying to do extra things in the pasta space.
right.
Yeah.
Doesn't Mediator doesn't really work. That's not as. Oh yeah, you
Didn't do the color checker.
we have to do this
it in
thing
the
where we
middle.
look like hostages.
Just got to get the colors consistent between the cameras. Why do we do a video of this? I don't know.
I don't either.
But we committed to it, so if you could just kind of hold that in front of your between your face and the camera.
Like you just got arrested drunk on a dirt bike. Just hold it up there like that.
Perfect.
Can't drive dirt bikes drunk either.
I don't think so.
Can't if it's on your property. You can drive anything drunk as long as you own the land. You know that?
I think I did know that, and I think I found out about that because of rednecks with paychecks.
Right.
And I think they all signed maybe a waiver to the owner of the property.
Yeah.
You guys should go set up a truck there.
A lot
Hell
of deaths happening there, though, for my
There
taste.
are a lot of deaths
I don't
there.
know. We
Death
have
makes a
our
man
food
hungry.
Our food truck at an event where someone is inevitably going to get run over.
Just in the background of crime scene photos. That's not what you want.
Hey, corn dogs over
You're
here.
moving units. They got to be sold somewhere.
Yeah.
You look so sad. Couldn't some bacon burn ends help?
Yeah, who knows? What kind of numbers are they doing? It's a couple thousand, right? You can make some money.
So as the operation grows, have the headaches grown?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
That was too quick an answer.
It's every day there's something. But
Really?
Yeah, but it's part. I mean, that's I guess if part of the fun maybe of the restaurant industry is like it's just crippling. The every day is the same, but then you have some sort of like fun stuff thrown in, and we're always constantly dealing with stuff. But now, like as we've grown, we've built out like our leadership team, and we have a bunch of people that help. So, like my wife, does all our marketing, does a ton of stuff for the company. She can have a child finally instead of us like working 90 hours a week or whatever like we used to. So, it's good. But then as that happens, now we're in the stage of
To be clear, I think you have that child as well.
right. Yeah. Technically, I think. Yeah.
I don't want to receive email questions about who's the father of Travis's child.
Well, you never know, but we it's been great, but you're just there's always something going on, and two of our stores are 7 days a week, one is 6 days a week, one in Dallas, two in Fort Worth, so it's a lot.
And did I see we have more coming?
Yeah,
I saw you flirting with the city of Burleson on Twitter.
Yeah, we're opening in Burleson, which is really exciting. So that'll be our fourth store, and it's a cool deal. They have like the old town, whatever town square thing where there's some bars, restaurants. There's a Babe's Chicken. That's a hot draw. A Old South Pancake House that they just opened. And so the city put a ton of investment in on this green space thing where they have a stage just right next to City Hall. Well, they have this lot that they've been trying to develop for forever, and so we're building a building right there. So it's really cool.
So how does that work? Like, how do you find the place? Like, is the first call to a bank? Like, do you have a bank guy that handles all this?
Yeah, we technically, I guess, a bank lady, if you will. With
working finance.
How did she get there?
Go on.
Yeah. We specifically with that deal, the city reached out to us because they've been trying to develop this thing for a while and couldn't really get somebody to come in or the money or whatever, and so it's a public-private partnership. They basically gave us the land, and then we're building a building, but then we will own the land and the building. So it's kind of a mutually beneficial thing, and there's some tax incentives and stuff. But they were basically like, we really want you guys to come here, and so it worked out well. So the thing on Twitter I posted the other day was kind of like, is this really happening? Like I had to go to a city council meeting and all this stuff, and it was slow moving, and then finally we actually have a meeting this Friday with the developer and our architect and really starting the next step to build it. So it's probably like a year out, I would imagine, but we're excited about it.
While you're at the council meeting, I mean, obviously handle whatever you need to handle, but if you want to pepper in some thoughts on critical race theory, curriculum, I mean, you're there.
Yeah.
So you might as well just get some shots up.
It was the first city council meeting like after the election or something, and the big topic of the time was, do we reattach the rims on the basketball goals at the city parks? And that was about a 30-minute deal. And I was like, all right, like when do we go on? Like, but oh well.
I think it seems to me that you've reached the point that the goal of any restaurateur is to just break past where you have enough name recognition to be like they're the cool thing. Mm-hmm. And once you're there, it's a matter of like what suburb won't give you tons of money to like, because then they can tell their friends like, this is going to put us on the map. Suburbs constantly think that they're a tiny step away from being on the map, and if we could get a trendy barbecue joint, I think that everyone around us would recognize. Like the good folks in Crowley are just going to be fucking, kicking a wall. Just, God damn it!
And driving to Burleson.
Yeah, so they're going to just be giving you forkfuls of money. if you reach that point. And I would say that Heim is absolutely in the class. You know, I don't even know what else. You know, Cowboy Chicken has certainly been there, I would say. What are the others? The local,
baseball teams.
I mean, Babes is a good one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
They blew up.
But yeah, just congratulations on being in the class of things that suburbs will make irresponsible financial decisions for.
Hey, we will accept those decisions anywhere we can get them. So
someone's going to get this money.
When was the break-in in Dallas?
Jeez, that was I don't even know. It would have been winter because I know it was cold. Maybe December, maybe January. Was it that long ago?
What did they get away with?
So we had at our Mockingbird's store, they stole the safe. And so it clearly wasn't like...
I respect the shit out of that.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
It wasn't... I posted the video on Twitter, and it's rather funny, but like it wasn't like a Danny Ocean's operation. Like it was clearly like probably a former employee or something, and they popped the back door, went in right to the office, cracked that open, and the manager, who's no longer the manager, had forgotten or didn't bolt the safe to the ground. So then at that point, it was just a matter of picking it up and taking it out, which it was probably like 500 pounds or something. But then they took it out, threw it in the back of like a 4-door Infiniti, like sedan, like literally in the back seat.
Dragging.
Yeah. And just took off with it. And so, and you know, it wasn't like a ton of money or whatever, but it was just super annoying. But
yeah,
in the video, and I'll repost it on our Twitter, but as they're walking out the back door, we have kind of haphazardly put some squeegee brooms and different stuff. And as they're trying to carry it out, the guy's like trying to like pull his pants up. And then the squeegee falls and just hits him in the face. And so he pushes it away. And literally like 4 times, I think, it falls back down and just keeps hitting the guy in the face.
A Sideshow Bob situation.
And then another, you know, guy, another crook or whatever you call him. I don't know the proper term. He grabs it and then throws it away. So the joke was that's our squeegee defense, you know, system. But, you know, you put up an effort. So we made a T-shirt that said "Come and take it," and it had a squeegee.
I remember the shirt.
It's just like whatever.
Strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah,
yeah, that is ballsy. My buddy who manages a sandwich shop showed me the video once of a guy who broke in pre-dawn and literally stole the meat slicer, which apparently you could sell. I don't know, to like one-off type delis that are not, you know, like it's a corporate sandwich shop.
I'd buy one.
I mean, it's huge.
they're pretty expensive.
We have
super
one at
expensive.
Excel. They're fucking tight.
Yeah, and in fact, the guy was like, "I want the big one.
Yeah.
I don't want the register. I want the nuts and bolts of this operation." I was like, "Gosh, that's kind of impressive."
Definitely, it's not like he lost the whole finger or anything. Just the tip.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely did not make it through Excel with everyone using that deli slicer responsibly.
Those things are dangerous, man.
So did they catch the guy or anything? It sounds like no.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, DPD was like, who cares? Like, whatever.
Really?
So, yeah, just no interest in
They stole a
pursuing it.
safe. You can steal safes?
Apparently, you
camera.
can steal safes.
On camera.
Jesus Christ, why are we podcasting?
One of the officers was like, yeah, these guys have been breaking in, like, in the area and stealing safes, you know, and whatever.
My
And we're
brother
like,
called me
cool.
when he saw the video, and he was like, "Give me a few details."
He messaged me and was like, how much do you know? Like,
He was
what
like,
can you
"I'm off right now for a couple of weeks." He's like, "I think I can get to the bottom of this." I was like, "Dude, no.
Hell yeah, dude.
Please, no.
Let the dog off the leash.
Just let him hunt."
some sort of mercenary Joe Kemp?
Yeah, I mean,
What I do have is a very particular set of skills.
I would bet that I don't know if he would have got the safe back.
Yeah.
He would have beat some people up. Whether or not they had ever seen the safe, questionable.
Or whether or not,
Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
exactly. Somebody would have been paying the price. It
They've
just
done something,
might not have
surely.
been anybody who owed.
It can't be easy to open a safe. Like, too, you get it out of there. Like, that was my other thought was like, I wonder how much time they spent trying to get it open. Did they get it open to get like 2 days worth of cash deposits.
Yeah, what is 2 days worth of cash deposits?
I think we had, I don't know, for insurance purposes, but it was a couple grand, I guess I could say, in cash. So, and it was after a weekend, so then you just, you go to the bank Monday. So
It's like getting the Bellagio on a fight night.
yeah, like literally the safe and the repairs we had to make were more expensive than the money that they took. So it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
We had to buying a new safe was more than like what it cost, but that's why you have insurance, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure. I wanted an example of the kinds of headaches you have to put down. I guess that's a pretty good one. That's probably is that the liveliest one, or?
Yeah, I mean you run
Someone
into that
running
stuff
a dice
all the time.
game out of the river location.
Not that I'm aware of. It's literally like, we had a HR thing this week with like a couple that's not a couple that's on and off, and you're like, I just like, can you guys just fucking do your job? And like, I don't, so there's always like small things where you're just, I don't know, you're dealing with weird shit, but yeah, theft is not, it's not that common that someone's going to come in and steal the safe, but you're always dealing with something, drunk people, everything.
Bitchy customer.
Yeah, you get that, every now and then. Any kind of like review site is just a disaster. It's like it's like designed for you have a bad experience and I'm going to take out my anger on you through this thing. I don't know if there's any like, positive aspects of a Yelp or stuff like that.
Like, you'd have to be kind of a psycho to leave positive Yelp reviews every time you had something you liked.
It's kind of funny to imagine, though. You're just like, God damn.
This sandwich was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm going to go write 300 words about it.
Not great, but pretty good.
People are only going to Yelp to write because, and I mean, it's clearly not only because you will read positive reviews.
Yeah,
but again, I read those and I'm like, Jesus Christ, lock them up. Whoever's writing these.
It's not that far off from porn commenters.
The porn commenters make more sense to me. I respect them more.
Didn't Jay from Cane Rosso used to like battle?
They're still,
they do.
They like within the last today. I saw them make shirts based on a comment like whenever they like flamed someone for Someone was like, "I'm going to tell corporate about this," and the response was, "I am motherfucking corporate. I am corporate, motherfucker."
Yeah.
And so
it was a great like
Jay's at the end of training day.
Yeah.
Jay's always been wheels off, but he's got a guy, Jeff, that handles all his social media. And though like he'll get a 1-star review and he'll post it and just be like, look at this, bullshit. Like usually in a comical way, but that was like, it was a whole thing. And like they did a Detroit-style pizza concept out of their existing Cane Rosso restaurants.
I've tried it.
Delicious, right?
It's It's absolutely phenomenal.
It's incredible. And so it started as like just during COVID, everybody's thinking of like, okay, how can we get more revenue in? What's the thing? So they were basically doing it out of their existing stores. So then now that they've reopened, it's my understanding then they'll just do it on the weekdays because then weekends they get busy with their normal Cane Rosso business. So this person was so upset. The whole start of the interaction was because he couldn't order the Detroit style pizza on Saturday, but was like cussing them out. But not like cussing. The funny part was like, how people like write like the letter like F, like WTF and like so it was just a lot of letters of curse words, and then a back and forth, and then the highlight being them saying I am corporate motherfucker, which is just awesome. My wife and I have a podcast that is fledgling, just starting out, but I
shout it out.
Yeah, Heim Time podcasts on, wherever you listen to podcasts. We have a Patreon, but I on last week we talked about it extensively, and I said I wish we could curse out more customers. Like I would really, because there's some people like this guy was like, that's what he's upset about. You know what I mean? It's not like if you go in and you have a bad experience or like, there's like a bug in your food or something, I get being upset. But it was like, I can't like this is your business.
It would be the same as showing up at midnight and then leaving a negative review because you weren't open.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's a basic rule
And the
of
way-
the operation of business, and that's what you're really steamed about.
The guy was tossing in all kinds of the weird curses and was like, just the tone of it, I think, was mainly what set them back. But his basic thing was like, it reminded me of I think you should leave the Heidegger. Let me tell you something. Because he's explaining, he's like, you're trying to run a business here. If you don't, a lot of people eat on the weekends. If you're just losing those customers, and it's like, as Travis described, there's a little more going on here than he understands, but he has entirely not considered the possibility that the person running the business might have more information than he does.
It
was fun.
A lot of all caps. A lot of all caps in the comments. And then at one point, it's something to the customer's always right. That was in one of the comments that just like triggered me. And then I forget what and then he said, which this was just a funny way to say this, but he said, Yelp, here I come, was one of his comments.
That's a shirt I would wear.
Yeah. Not even like a veiled threat, just like, no, this is what I do is argue with pizza places on Facebook. Right?
Just essentially Cartman.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
funny. So that's, their food's great and I love them and support them. But I tried to talk Emma. She handles all our social media except for Twitter, which I just use for jokes and stuff, basically.
Yes. And Baylor shots.
Well, I've backed off on that. You know, it's like the Michael Jordan, Baylor fans by
eat
barbecue. Yeah. Oh, well.
Does how often is the in-person just meltdown from a customer?
Not bad. I mean, you see it like you can almost plan for it, you know, literally like what was most recent, I guess, 4th of July, then, you know, Father's Day, Mother's Day, any time where it's like, you know, we're going to have like an hour wait or longer. We may run out of like food stuff. It's almost like always on a Saturday. Most of the time, like, you know, I guess people just don't, you really don't get a lot of like complaints, just random stuff. But those are the days where it's like, I had to wait. We ran out of this, that. And some of it you can control, some of it you're just like, whatever.
And people are around their families.
Yes.
So they're already
Oh, yeah.
like, God damn it.
This was supposed to be our special meal.
Yeah.
You ruined our special
ruined
meal.
it.
Yeah.
You ruined Father's Day.
Yeah, and now that, you know, with full liquor license everywhere, so then too the boozers,
You got an hour wait.
yeah, you're just dealing
What am I supposed to
with,
do here?
you're dealing, which we really don't deal with a ton of that, but you know, that's just restaurants in general. But no, it's been great recently. I mean, the last year sucked, but you know.
Speaking of that, did everything ever get sorted out on like getting the loan money and the? I just remember that being such a clusterfuck for
Yeah.
everybody.
I mean, I would love. Yeah, I was hoping that a good portion of this would be questions about making it through the pandemic and then what's going on now.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the start, like the Dallas location, that was my number one concern. Pandemic. You know, I mean, I had some grandparents, but like they've lived a long life. You know. I just didn't want the Dallas store to go down.
I appreciate that.
It hadn't opened yet. It was a very precarious thing. I could go find text messages where like immediately after Rudy Gobert,
yeah.
tested positive. I'm texting the people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
What's this going to mean for the Heim?
Well, I appreciate your concern. When we just leased that space, and so when we signed the lease was 2019, maybe like end of that year, fall, and we had some construction that we were doing, like we had to build a smokehouse and some stuff. And so you're like, we're geniuses opening across from an airport. There's like that lot, you know, where people like park your car and whatever. 1 million cars full every single day. We're like, this is going to be great. Lunch business, everything. And then by the time we opened was maybe April. I can't even remember. I think it was April maybe. Was like right when you're like, oh, this is a really terrible thing that's happening, right? Like this isn't going to go away. And so we opened at 50% occupancy, was mandated at that time. And It was maybe for the best because it was just kind of like a struggle. We really struggled with hiring too at that point, and we were still kind of struggling with that. All of our like smokehouse guys came from Fort Worth, or they trained in Fort Worth, so we didn't have any issues with that. But just like front of house, bar, like every managers, everything, that was tough. And it was just, we kind of like didn't ever really know what to expect specifically with Dallas because it was such a new thing. And then, not to fast forward, but like now it's awesome. We're 7 days a week and it was going well. But those first couple of months we were like, we literally had thought about, well, maybe we just close until this all blows over and then we can, reopen or whatever. Because we didn't really have a grand opening or anything. Yeah. It was just, so I don't know. But yeah, now people are traveling and it's going well. But we got two PPP loans, and I can for sure say, like, without those, we would have gone out of business. Like, there's just no way. I remember probably around the Gobert thing, was that March maybe?
Yeah, March 11.
So we had just done an anniversary party. I don't know if you came. We had Grady Spencer play, and it was a big thing. We had like 500 people. I want to say that was maybe the end of February or something. But then it was like a week later, I remember us sitting on the patio at the River Restaurant, and that's when we said we're just closed indefinitely until we can figure out what the hell's going on. And we had shut down, I want to say 2 weeks earlier before, Fort Worth mandated it or whatever, just because I was like, I was worried about our staff and all that. And so for that, the first couple of months, we were losing $20,000 a week because we were keeping everybody employed, everybody on salary, basically paying like, 40 hours a week. And even at that point, you're like, oh, this will just be another week or two. Like, we'll get through this. And then, it just kept getting worse. But,
That was a frustrating part that I'm sure will be forgotten in the sweep of history of whatever it was, like hey, let's stop the spread. So just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like, how many exactly? And, what's going to happen after that? Like, I don't know, man.
Well,
Wild.
I bet against that assessment. And it cost me dearly.
Yeah.
Because this is like late May, early June. I was like, is anybody paying attention here? This shit is not going away for several months.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? And then they played NFL games with dead bodies in the stands.
Yeah, I mean,
I fucked that one up.
it was smart to think that it was going to be a serious situation that impacted things. It was dumb to think that the NFL would not make as much money as it possibly could given the circumstances.
Yeah, I know that now.
But you're almost done, bud.
I'm so close, dude.
Is it whenever you touch down in Oxnard, you can shave it off? No, you got to go through the whole...
Yeah, it's like August 8th.
August 8th?
Yeah.
You're getting there.
Yeah, we're close.
Yeah.
And what sucks about it
pretty
kind
much
of is
done.
like I really would kind of like to try like going half of this, not like left right. That was proposed, but like getting it actually groomed and like getting it done by a barber.
Yeah.
But I also just want to see my face again so bad
I
that I feel like I have to slash and burn.
Where are you, bud?
Seriously, I don't remember. I
Do
really
I have
don't
a
remember.
chin?
So the PPE loan thing. Like, I'm sure there were huge delays. I know there was all the shit with, like, Ruth's Chris.
Yeah.
Like, it was handed out in a very...
What's the shit with Ruth Chris?
Predictable but unfair way.
I think that there was a lot of criticism, and I was just talking shit on Twitter, and then we got a PPP loan, so I was shut the hell up. But I want to say there's a lot of criticism because when it first came out, it was basically like almost all the money went to like Olive Garden, Darden and like all these and independent restaurants, especially like smaller independent restaurants. You had to submit all this financial stuff. You had to do all this like paperwork to do it. And
whereas like Olive Garden has like a legal department preparing all of that and getting it over in a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I think there was some, it was probably just, it seemed unfair, and I don't know enough to of facts or whatever on this, but all of those were like the first to get bailed out. And that was the argument, especially with a lot of like restaurant critics and stuff, food media people was like, Chick-fil-A is going to do fine. Like Popeyes is doing fine.
They're not going out of
These
business.
smaller
If they don't get it.
players,
Yeah.
it's
Margins are much lower.
Yeah, so but then I think they tried then with the second round, and then there's been other stuff that has happened where they're trying to, make it more equitable for everybody or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, it was tough. At one point during the pandemic, I saw a thing that said 1 out of every 5 restaurants had closed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was permanent, because I was like middle of the pandemic. But you look at like, especially like New York and Chicago and, those places, it was like, just mass restaurant closes, which, sucks. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and most of the ones that I've heard about closing is like you said. There were just countless stories of like, this place has been here for 60 years and I used to come here with my grandfather and here's a photo of me here when I'm a kid and it was just closed.
yeah. Fine dining got hit really hard, obviously, because people are like, any kind of place that.
Yeah, let's go get a to-go steak.
yeah. Or like, when you, especially those more high-end places, it's like wine, is huge. Like, so you have to have.
What you're paying for is like being there.
Yeah.
Feeling like you're Mr. Special, man.
Yeah. And even like our river location, it's 7,500 square feet. Then we have a patio. Then we have, outdoor beer garden. So too, like, maybe some landlords were cool. We paid rent the whole time. Like nobody was cutting a deal. And everyone that I talked to, no one was getting a rent, delay or something like that.
Starting to think that as a group, landlords might be bad people.
Yeah, it would have had to been mandated, right?
I think
it could have
that
been,
was the only way.
Yeah. It should have been mandated, but also, like, could you imagine, like, if it was you, I mean, you just said you were paying your employees like that they had worked 40-hour weeks so they weren't working. I would hope that that would be the spirit, and it felt like for a lot of people that was the spirit that we were in last year. To see landlords en masse be like, nah, not really us.
I don't know.
Dude,
I mean,
fuck them.
I just feel like they would have had to get their own, kickback. Like from the government to because they have a business too, right? Like, so if enough people just stop paying, then they'll go under also. Like they'll default.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But still, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess, and that's my only point I was going to make is you're paying, at that point, 7,500 feet of primo real estate lease to just sell to-go food. You know what I mean? So that's those places, you think anywhere, I don't know, uptown or what, some high restaurant lease rates, and then the 10% part of your business of to-go food now becomes the 90% part of your business or whatever. It's just it wasn't feasible for a lot of places.
Do you ever have any mask meltdowns?
Yes.
You did?
Multiple.
Really?
And it was weird because, and I try not to talk about politics, right? With everybody eats barbecue, but it was very on party lines. Like initially you could tell like the people who, I'm not wearing a mask, and once we went back to even at 50% occupancy, we went back, obviously all staff members wearing a mask, everything, this was like way early on. You would get people that were like, no, man, I'm not doing that. And then now it's almost like flipped on the opposite side, where then it's like the people that didn't care or whatever now are like, we should still be doing masks. And we're like, no, almost all of our staff's vaccinated. Like, we're trying to follow CDC guidelines as much as we can. But we, as of like a couple weeks ago, said that the same thing with people who come in. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. The same thing for our employees. If you want to wear a mask, you can, but we're not going to tell you what to do. And that's good. But then now you have people like flipping out about that. So it's whatever. We had a guy, the worst one was, we had a guy, and speaking of Facebook reviews, we got a Facebook review and the guy was like, 1 star, this place fucking sucks, whatever. They threw me out because I'm a veteran and I was wearing Vietnam veteran shirts. So immediately I'm
That's
like,
what I've always known about you, for sure. I think you personally must have
I was like, that's not company policy, right? Like that's concerning. And so I'm like, what the fuck?
Korea can stay,
yeah.
but Vietnam.
I immediately call the manager. What the hell's going? What's happening? And and then I pull up the security footage later, and so this was maybe 6 months ago or something. I mean, not at the height of COVID, but we had to wait. First problem.
Yeah.
So they had to wait. It was a guy and like 3 other people, older guy, obviously. They were upset that they had to wait in line. Then they got in. They didn't have masks. So then the host person said, hey, can you put a mask on? They were upset about that. Had to go get masks. Came back. And this is not, to be clear, this is when like everyone was wearing masks.
Yeah.
So not like recently or whatever. So then he gets they order, gets a cup, so goes to fill out a fountain drink, or goes to sits down, and then is like, oh, I go up to get my drink. So as he goes up to get his drink, mask down again. The cashier, who's like 18-year-old girl, sweetest, girl in the world, sir, do you mind putting your mask on? She's like, whatever, makes a big stink of it, sits down. And then when he sits down, he like has his mask on, and he goes like, pulls it off and like shakes his head like just freedom, like what's Nick Cage and Con Air, just that, just like complete freedom, like we're the oppressors that have done this to him. And so then as he's sitting down, then he has a long sleeve shirt on, and he pulls it up, and like the cashier's over here, he pulls his thing and then just goes like this, and then like gives a middle finger to the cashier. And so I'm glad I wasn't there, because I would have thrown him out myself. But the manager was like, you guys have to leave. You can't do this. You can't act like this. And gave him his money
just because
back.
we're Vietnam vets?
Yeah. And so, but then that was like the Cane Rosso thing, like I literally posted the video, and I was very, polite at first. But I was like, no, we don't just throw out veterans of, wars. You like flipped off our cashier. You guys were dicks basically the whole time from when you came in. And here's the footage, because other people were commenting like, oh my God, we need to go up there and like give them a piece of our mind.
Yeah, definitely.
They're doing this or that.
Over your veteran policy.
Yeah. And then even then I posted it, and I forget what the comment was, but he was like, that's not me, or like something. And it was like, you described the situation. This is the exact situation that happened. You see he's wearing like the stuff, and it's like, this is your profile picture. This is the security footage. Like,
I love it. Like
he's like, no, it wasn't me. And I was just like, all right, well, those are the guest interactions that you're like, there's nothing I can say that's going to make this, be positive. So
and like, what do you want at that point? Mm-hmm. Certainly not to get repeat business from him.
Please come back again, sir. Like, I'd really love it. So.
Yeah, I think this has worked out in the way that it needs to. So as far as like, I think that as we're all trying to process the pandemic as it was going on, I was always trying to sort things into the 2 categories of things that are a real pain in my dick right now, but like probably not going to think about 10 years from now. And then like also the permanent damage being done, there's plenty of permanent damage that was done. I just, it seems like things are going great. Like, are you back to full sales before where you were?
Yeah, I mean, especially April and May were the best sales months we've ever had.
Hell
and
yeah.
I think that's a lot of restaurants are the same way that were, open before, which is awesome, but kind of like to your point, but everything is more money. Like all of our costs have gone up. Like massive supply chain issues with anything, like plastic gloves, for the kitchen staff, like to-go stuff. And then meat prices have like skyrocketed. Like it's absolutely insane. So that's awesome. And I like never want to complain about anything, especially after what we've been through. But I think that's the thing, like the perception is like, oh, restaurants are doing great and it's awesome and sales are great, but we're still kind of dealing with some of the ramifications of like all of COVID and stuff. And I think we're coming to the end of it. Like meat prices are starting to go back down, which is good. But yeah, it's still crazy.
Have you had to raise any prices?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did as of was the week of Mother's Day. I remember that because I was like, shit, we're going to be busy. We need to raise prices. But let's say 2019, we buy certified Angus beef prime briskets. So like select choice prime grading, prime's like the best you can get. Really good quality briskets. I bet 2019 I was probably paying around $2.75 a pound for briskets. As of this week, we're paying $5.10 a pound for the same.
Shit.
But that peaked at like $5.45, I want to say, which would have been probably 2 months ago or something.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, most of that was like all COVID, obviously, but there's a number of other factors that kind of cause that. But then, anything that's produced in China, it took a while. So like a lot of our just paper goods and miscellaneous crap
ports,
were
TC.
all.
The ports.
I hear a lot about the ports.
Yeah.
At home.
Oh yeah, do you?
I hear a lot about the ports and about China. I don't remember what local. I don't think it's the deli. I don't think it's our deli in Grapevine, but maybe it is because they put avocado on a couple sandwiches. There's somewhere by my house that put out a sign. I love this. Mm-hmm. That said they were raising the prices on certain items that had avocado because of the cartels warring with avocado farmers in Mexico. And I just thought of how many people who were learning that information about this cartel avocado situation for the first time.
What?
By reading that. It's like 95% of them probably.
Sure. Yeah.
And I just thought that was a really bold move to invoke like a regional conflict.
I'm always a little
so it's
confused
gonna be $1 more
why they explain the price to like.
Yeah.
I don't know how much. I mean, as we fucking established last week, my lunch thing is very elastic, right?
Yeah.
Like
you pay for what you want.
I don't give a shit. I'm trying to fucking eat a sandwich here.
Same way.
I'm not even paying attention. Like,
but it would be cool, like if somebody, like if you put out, like, hey, dozen spare ribs, gonna be a little more. Wife left me and I got alimony.
yeah.
Like, just start giving way too much info about any price increase. Like, look, I'm addicted to gambling and I'm in deep. And so I need you guys to bridge me. It's
every day I wake up, my kids say I'm a shitty dad. You know how much that costs in therapy? You gotta pay for it somehow. My burgers are gonna be $20.
The genocide in Rwanda has increased our bun prices.
It weighs on me. Yeah. But yeah, so what has been like the permanent effect is as it like. I mean, I guess on some level, like you lost income, it's never coming back. But like, I don't know, you own 3 restaurants, probably not like starving,
right? Yeah.
But like, but has there been ways that you have been affected that you're going to continue to feel? And then just did all of your staff make it through okay? Did any of them have like permanent life changing? As a result, what was it like to be a Heim barbecue worker as the pandemic occurred?
Yeah, I think a lot of the like long-term effects are going to be felt in like employer-employee relationship. I mean, I think the biggest thing that was a struggle, we just from the start, I kind of alluded to it, but we were like, we're not going to lay anybody off. Like that was something that we were like, we're going to try as much as possible, not to furlough or whatever. And so we ate it, a lot for a couple months there. But you've probably seen, but every single restaurant is hiring, a lot of, especially the bigger chains, everybody.
Definitely want to talk about that, son.
Yeah. And I can tell you my opinion. I don't know, what, but everyone says unemployment. Unemployment is probably a symptom of that. But again, it was like, a lot of friends of mine that just furloughed their entire staff and had like 80 people that are just, well, I can't cover this because of our bottom line. So then in 6 months or whatever, a year, where we're sitting right now, then everybody's like, man, I wonder why nobody wants to work for us. And it's like, Well, because you threw everybody out on the street when, we didn't know what the hell was going on. So
You sent them a very strong message that they had no choice to interpret as anything other than, if I am in the restaurant business, I'm going to be in danger.
Yeah.
And, so I need to go spend this time learning some other skills so I don't have to work in, customers yelling at me anymore.
And I mean, that mask situation, that's, you got like 18, 19-year-olds that are like, dude, I don't want to wear a mask. I'm just telling you what they're telling me to say, then they're just getting chewed out. So there's a ton of stress. I think when we even reopened at 50% occupancy, there was a ton of stress on everybody, which just sucked. And two, any like restaurant employee, bar employee, almost all your front of house staff is going to be tip based. So like 50% occupancy is much different than a full restaurant booming, pre-COVID, where they may pull $300-400 a shift. Now they're not doing that. Even takeout or to go, you're still getting tips, but it was different. So I think there's frailty to that a lot of people realize maybe for the first time, that like, oh, if I can't just pull 5 or 6 shifts as a bartender or whatever, then I don't pay my rent and I don't have this. So a lot of people, I think left the industry, which was understandable, because of that. And then two, the restaurant industry in general has been built on immigrant labor, and so like your back of house is, we have a lot of like, Mexican immigrants and South American immigrants that work for us. And so I feel, like I can say, I'm not like to brag or whatever, but we pay a much higher rate than most restaurants around us, most barbecue places. And so that's great, but most don't. Most pay minimum wage to people that they feel are expendable. And then you have something like a pandemic happen where everyone gets let go. And then, 6 months later, well, we don't have a staff. What the hell? We can't open. And so, but the easy thing to complain about is unemployment, right? The government's paying everybody. And so that's why we don't have staff. But
yeah, and then like, anytime people like us see those complaints on Twitter, we just yell back, pay them more.
Right.
Do you you have a more nuanced, you have more information about the situation than we do.
Yeah.
Is pay them more, to what degree do you feel that is an adequate response?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think there's really like restaurants are working, and I guess I'm speaking for like independent restaurants mainly, right? Not like your Chick-fil-A's and those kind of places. But you're dealing with really razor thin margins.
Sure.
Like something, I think this is probably a few years old statistics, but on average, restaurants make about 6% profit per year. So for every $100 in sales, we make $6. So I think the line with that, and, I have a different perspective because it's like, how I buy baby food and make my living, but the pay more, I'm like, I'm all for that. That's great. You can't do that without raising prices. So on the flip side of it, it's like, I would love to get to a point where it's a lot more equitable for our hourly employees, and especially like the balance between back of house and front of house. For the most part, front of house employees generally make more money, although you could argue that, more of the work is, I'm a kitchen guy. So like, I think the kitchen puts in a ton of work. And so like, that's an easy thing, but then inevitably to make up those costs to where the restaurant still makes money, you're going to have to find another way to do it. So it's maybe raising prices or maybe doing something else. So, like the pay more, I think maybe an independent restaurant is going to have more of a struggle, like on that end, but like freaking McDonald's, KFC, like
McDonald's announced
just
today,
pay more.
Right?
Like they can.
Did they? They're going to pay more?
They're going to pay more. They're going to provide either a stipend for, I was about to say, they're going to provide childcare. I don't actually believe that McDonald's will be caring for your child but it'll be like a stipend and tuition.
Okay.
That would be huge.
Yeah, and the margin, I don't know what McDonald's profit margin is, but I would imagine it's higher than 6%. So yeah, I don't know.
I just like an hour alone with Grimace.
For what purpose?
Threat? Yeah. You're going to sexually assault Grimace?
I think I just kick his ass.
Okay.
Just no. I've realized that. My mind is a jumble, and I understand it's difficult for other people to decipher it. I was watching on YouTube the dad who's, this isn't funny, daughter was victimized by Larry Nassar, where he's like, "Judge, can you give me 5 minutes alone with him?"
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, she starts to answer, and he's like, "Yes or no to a judge," and she's like, "No." He's like, "What about 1 minute?" And she's like, "No." And then he just fucking
goes for him, right?
He just in one motion hurdles it.
Yeah.
Hurdles.
So
the
you
bench.
want to treat Grimace like he sexually assaulted your child,
Right?
Yes.
So we're ironing out the full plot here.
It was hard to get out, and it's not as funny.
Well, we got there,
but. You know, I mean, we should work on it.
Why were you just watching that on YouTube?
That's a good question.
The FBI conducted an investigation into how the claims were initially handled, and the results of that investigation came out today.
Okay.
Turns out they didn't take them seriously at first.
Surprising.
But yeah, then someone was like, "You remember that dad that tried to kick his ass?" And I'm like, kind of, but I bet I could do more if I could see it on YouTube.com.
I would bet most people, and I don't know, it's not like you, I don't know.
And I was just thinking about Wallop and Grimm.
Jesus Christ.
Kicking his ass.
I don't know.
Put him in a rear naked chokehold or something.
I don't know what the line for the term like upscale
shit
is,
out of
but
him.
most people who come to Heim would not care if their meal went up 10% or probably 20%. I really don't think so.
We've learned that. I think it was like there was a couple items. It was like 16 to 18% price increase is what we went up. And even that, like, we're making less money than we were before, right? I think I'm explaining that well. But
Like the prices went up more than 16. Your cost went up more than the price increase.
yes, absolutely. But then again, like the peak was, I want to say $5.40 maybe a pound, and now we're back down to $5.10. So we're starting. It's still almost double what we were paying, but you have to do that to make up the difference. And we really haven't seen a ton of complaints. Like I think literally any restaurant you go to is going to have a price increase over the last couple of months. And, even like fast food, you've seen how that just had to go. So it is what it is. It just sucks, that because the last thing I want to do is like pass that on to the customer, but also or we don't make money, to like stay in business. So
yeah, and I think going to Heim, it's an experience. You're going to be having some flavors that you have not had anywhere else that week. Like, I don't know. Can you even put a price on it? I would sign over my whole check.
But you want the Grimace time.
yeah.
On the rider.
If I give you my full check, can I have one meal and a half hour to kick the shit out of Grimace? Well, you promised me that, Travis.
We could work it out. There was a whole canon of McDonald's fixtures, right? Like the Hamburglar guy and all that.
You ever see the picture of I went with a group to Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the Hamburglar. We had a Grimace.
There was a Mayor McCheese with the full head.
Yeah, I could probably find that.
I wonder why more restaurants haven't done the full scale characters.
Yeah, just have their own universe.
I mean, if only we had a restaurant owner we could ask about this.
Dude, let us write.
We need to get creative.
Yeah.
Chuck E. Cheese, I guess that's one.
Absolutely. McDonald's, I think it was like the 70s, had some like ads featuring all of them.
Oh, yeah.
That are real fucking weird.
They
definitely had ads featuring all of them. Like, I remember that as a kid, but like some of them, it's just like real fucking like Willy Wonka acid shit.
Yeah. Pretty much
what's
any
the
ad
Domino's?
from the 70s.
Domino's guy,
Noid,
yeah.
of course, yeah.
You guys know the backstory on that or whatever?
No,
no,
please.
but I know he's back. Did you see that?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna butcher this, but like I heard it on Anthony Jeselnik, the comedian, was on a podcast, and I guess he's all in on like the Noid. He's like,
What was he on? Are you talking about Two Bears?
Maybe.
I listened to that last week, but there's like 20 minutes left in it. It's Bert Keichner and Jeselnik.
Yeah. And it may have been on there.
Actually, Segura, because Keichner was out. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the story was like there's this Noid guy and he was like just interfering with people getting their pizzas delivered.
Yeah,
I guess
he was annoying, so he was
trying
annoyed.
to stop him. Yeah.
So he's describing that apparently, like in the 70s or whatever, then there was a guy named Noid who I guess obviously probably had mental health issues. He was just losing his mind because he was being associated with this pizza thief and literally like held Domino's employees at gunpoint or something.
Oh, no.
Like robbed a Domino's, but didn't rob it, I guess, like wanted to create
a hostage situation.
yeah,
Leave me
like
alone.
what was the guy in Waco, the Koresh? It was like
Yeah.
it's just a whole standoff of, and his goal was to get them to stop using the Noid, I guess. So then I think that was the impetus for then they
So is that why
stopped.
it's back?
But I don't know if
he
that guy
passed
died
away?
or what.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're like, bring it back.
His
This
family
is,
allows it.
Do you want me to read?
You
Do you want
got
me to
it?
read the entry?
Yeah, yeah.
Entry for Kenneth Lamar Noid.
Oh no!
January 1989, Kenneth Lamar Noid, a mentally ill man who thought the ad campaign was a personal attack on
Right.
himself,
I mean,
entered a Domino's restaurant in Georgia armed with a .357 and held 2 employees hostage for over 5 hours. After telling the employees that Domino's owner Tom Monahan had stolen his name, he forced them to call the headquarters and demand $100,000 and a white limousine as his getaway transportation.
all the white ones are booked, sir.
After offering to exchange one hostage for a copy of The Widow's Son, which I guess is a book,
Okay.
Noid reneged on his
Did he
offer
like it?
after a police officer brought him the book. Noid eventually became hungry
Oh,
and
no.
forced the employees to make him 2 special pizzas. Give me the off the book stuff.
Worth it.
What do you think he ordered?
While Noid ate the pizzas with his gotta go extra sauce. Oh, by the way, Kristen's having dinner out tonight.
Congratulations.
Yep. I've had nothing but fish, chicken, and vegetables for 3 straight days. And tonight, robust sauce extra.
I like fish and chicken.
Getting
While
dirty.
Noid ate the pizzas with his gun in his lap, the hostages escaped. Noid surrendered shortly
This is
after.
good pizza.
Damn, man.
I'm
That's
glad I could
insane.
share that with you. Yeah, that was. So anyway, I guess I don't know if he passed or what, but then they brought the Noid
he's
back.
go crazy. He's gone.
Josh and I were brainstorming a open world video RPG video game about the Noid universe.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah,
It's
but
just annoying.
It's simple now, but what if we could make this
Get to
story
development?
deeper?
When I was thinking about having you on, I was like, all right, it's kind of interesting. Like, what would be the goal of Travis, right? Like, all right, so you're at 3, you go to 4 restaurants. It's like, all right, what do you, like, in game, you just, like, not want to have to go in every day? And then I was like, I obviously know the goal is to meet Guy Fieri.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a
So I was
highlight.
like, why am I even asking myself this
Dude,
question?
it's a fucking ticking clock. It has to happen. Guy would love this.
That would be a highlight. I mean, people give that guy shit, but like,
Not me.
He raised like $20 million for restaurants in the pandemic, and he has like 5 yellow cars, bright yellow cars, so like a Hummer and all that. He just seems like a cool guy.
Dude, he got the meeting of the masters together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sly Stallone, Al Pacino, and
And him, Guy Fieri.
there was no one else?
There's definitely more people.
There was a chef.
I
at
think
least,
Jay
in play.
Glazer was involved.
Jay
Well,
Glazer.
Guy was the chef. Guy was the one making him food.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought there was someone else in the kitchen. but
Donkey
yeah.
sauce or
Oh, hell yeah.
I have no doubt that if Guy's making dinner for Sly Stallone, it tastes good. I'm confident of that.
yeah. We've been on a bunch of like different, dumb
I've seen
shows
most
or
of them.
whatever, but what's the diners, drive-ins, and dives haven't got the call for that yet, but
Are those a beating?
generally, yeah. It depends. Like we did. This is completely random, and I've tried to find a video of this, but we had these guys message from Oslo. Where's Oslo? Norway?
Norway,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they were like, we're doing this show, and it's a big deal in Norway, and we just thought it was fake. And they showed up, and they were like, okay, what do you want to do? And we're like, I will show you how we cook brisket or whatever. And it was like a guy, a comedian, and a chef, and whatever. And it was like the coolest thing ever. Like it was they're
Hell yeah.
super nice, like we did, and we were kind of just like, "You guys good?" And they're like, "No, we'll shoot some more stuff." And then it turned out like it was almost like a Borat thing where you're like, "This isn't real, right? Like this is just a fake." And then apparently Martin was the guy's name, the producer. They won like the Oscar of Norwegian TV for our episode where they came to Fort Worth and like came to the restaurant, but then they did like the rodeo thing, everybody goes to the stockyards. So that was awesome. But then we've done like
I would love to. I mean, I guess it's probably in Norwegian, so of limited use to me, a non-Norwegian speaker. But
yeah, he sent it to me, and it was funny. Like a clip of it, but then you had to like subscribe to like the whatever Norwegian. And I was like, I couldn't even figure out what this whatever, but super nice guys. But then we had like I'm just an asshole for the most part, but like there's a Food Paradise show and they want you to say like all this cheesy stuff. And like the thing was like every single thing that you say that the host says, this was for Food Paradise. Yeah. And every single thing is like scripted. So it was like an all day, I think it was a 2-day thing. And then like I'm presenting like the beef rib or something after we've done this. And then they're like, okay, like, walk away like out the back door. And then just say like, I'm going to take a smoke break. And I was like, I'm not going to say that.
Jeez.
And then it was like just this whole back and forth that eventually Emma was like, just do it, like whatever. And so if you ever watch Food Paradise, there's always like some sort of like, put it in your ass or what, some sort of like cheesy thing that then they do to clip to the next cutaway or whatever. And that could not have been more of a beating. But then even in the moment, you're like, but this is good publicity, I guess. I don't know,
Because they're not paying, right? You're doing it for publicity.
No, yeah. Some of this stuff, I mean, it's all, none of them they pay you for, but you think like, oh, well, and then we will see like if there's a rerun of that or like some of these other stuff, then people will tag us in social media like, oh, I want to come there. So it's cool, but yeah, I like doing an interview or whatever. You're like talking about it, and we've done 2 or 3 where it's like they have what you're supposed to say, and that always kind of drives because I'm like, I wouldn't say this,
Yeah,
but,
yeah, that's insane. I don't know.
You have to put on makeup.
Yeah, on most of them. But I probably need it.
So the process of starting the Dallas location, like, are you on your own looking at like real estate listings all the time? Is there someone you hire for that? How did you settle on that location?
Yeah, we have like a team of people that they're just like real estate guys. So they'll basically like if there's like a good deal or something, they'll reach out to us and tell us, and people we've worked with in the past. But at this point, it's almost like, like even the Burleson thing was like we're super selective about it because you'll get I'll get 20 emails a day of different places or this or that. And the Dallas thing was unique because I guess the history of that place is it was where the old Love Field Inn was, I think is what it was called, which was like pay by the hour motel thing, like really, really sketchy, drugs, prostitutes, whatever. But I guess that was like right across the street from Love Field. So it was a thing that the city and everybody had been trying to get rid of forever. So the guys that are landlords on that, they own like everything basically around it. They own the hotel, there's a QT, they own our building, they own Tesla dealership, all this other stuff, except for this piece. So the owners, I guess, are foreigners out of the country. They don't, didn't really care what was going on. So then they made an agreement with them of like, we will basically do a ground lease. We'll bulldoze this, shithole. We'll do a ground lease. We'll build a building that'll bring in income to like pay you guys. You'll get a percentage of whatever. So that was the whole how it started. So they built out this restaurant. They had a local restaurant guy kind of come in and consult on it. And they did like a cafe style thing, which,
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and it was conceptually very cool. And I think, could have been good. But then there was, I'm sure issues like with any restaurant that it didn't work out. So once that was kind of like a partnership, I guess. And then after that, then they were like, we need to just bring someone in to like lease it instead of trying
Get out
to.
of the way.
Yeah, because they're just real estate guys and they're super smart guys, but you know we were looking at a spot at the Dallas Farmers Market, and this really cool restaurant space that was there that was Mud Hen, which is like a healthier kind of thing. And we were talking with them, and then that kind of some stuff happened, and it ended up like it would have cost us twice as much to open, so we had to back out of it. That happened right at the same time where these guys were like, hey, we got this space, you want to come here? And so we'd already kind of planned everything and prepared, so then we just opened there. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, I'm glad about that. I don't think I would ever make it down to a farmer's. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas this is very close to me now.
Is this one or the yellow one?
It's the yellow one. Yeah. Yeah, you're right there on the lunch option.
Oh, hell yeah.
I was telling him
I'll take it.
I have to bring my lunch like 4 days a week.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
So it's
beaten down.
especially now that Megan's also got a job. You know, it's the constant like I don't know how. I mean, whatever. The division of labor in our family, I'm sure, favors me just fine. But I certainly have ended up with 100% of the lunch runs. And then, so it's like I hate deciding things. Do you have this in your, you guys know what I'm talking about?
I was starting to set.
I just feel like, one, I'm of the opinion that deciding things is somewhat difficult. It is work. Every time I go to a mall, I leave exhausted because you're just looking at things and deciding whether or not to buy.
What the fuck are you going to the mall for? Is this like
just giving an example.
Okay, I was going to say, the story feels like it's 20 years old.
It is in any situation where you have to make a lot of decisions, you will find that it is physically taxing.
Sure, okay.
And
go to rent a movie and there's too many options.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. These are things that we all know that they're hard, but you can't like describe. It's not the same as like lifting up a 500-pound safe and then trying to get it past some squeegees. That's everyone understands that's difficult. Little more pernicious the decision making difficulty, and so whenever it's being constantly foisted on me to pick out everything. It was getting too much, and so we came up with the lunch list. It's been very effective.
You should put little notches next to it, though.
I'm good with anything on the list, so it's just hand the wife the list. You pick whatever you want. We're done. It's great.
I like it.
I need to do that.
I mean, the other thing, like is not easier, but like we just grocery shop once a week, and then it's pretty much locked in what I'm having for lunch and dinner every night.
As you say that, it sounds fine, but then I hear you anytime you're talking about what you eat at home, and it sounds less sunny.
Oh, no, it's not. But there's no indecision.
Right.
There's no indecision. That's true.
We very swiftly decide on rabbit food.
Rabbit food.
Dude, it was so funny the other night. Hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
Because I'll forget this. The other night, like we try, it's almost always berries. Some probably mac and cheese every other night. Turkey. We got veggie chips. Try to give her a little bit of each thing we have. So she used to eat salmon a lot. She's pretty out on it now. Try to give her a little bit of a vegetable. She's really big on black beans. And she last night or the night before we had Brussels sprouts with the cod. Mm-hmm. And Kristen put a couple Brussels sprouts on her plate. She looked at it and she goes, "No plants."
No plants.
I was like,
that's what I'm saying, dude.
Sister, I know it.
Yeah,
I don't eat this shit either.
I get it.
She looked at it, kind of picked it up.
She's
She goes,
disgusted.
"No plants." I was like, I've been saying that shit for 30 years.
A goddamn carnivore.
Yeah. We were just like, you know what? We don't blame you.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
we get it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah.
No, I feel your pain, but I'm at a much earlier stage with the 6-month-old. So it's like now even our list of restaurant, like, okay, let's go out. And my wife is probably more indecisive, I would say, than myself. But then now you're going based off, okay, where can we take the kid?
Yeah.
It's where it's not going to be too busy and all. And then we almost need a sub list or whatever, I guess. But
Did
everyone
people get
deals with
nervous to serve you? That like, have you ever noticed that like somebody at a different restaurant like knew who you were because you're a food magnate?
I don't know. I
That's
mean,
definitely happened before. Someone was like, "Dude, don't fuck this up."
Oh yeah, I saw you on Norwegian TV.
yeah. We actually had somebody that came to the restaurant because they saw that. Which
Hell
is
yeah.
funny from Norway, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, we also just haven't been to any restaurants in a while. But
Yeah.
that's just such a like restaurant owner thing of like, some like one of my chef friends comes in. It's like, well, I want to make sure they have everything. We'll probably comp it or comp some of it, but I don't know. You would like to think it's a perk. For me, it's more of a hassle because then I just feel like I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
So I was wondering if you have experienced barbecue in other countries. I went to Germany a couple years ago, and Texas style barbecue is like a definite trend in Berlin.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And I didn't know if you'd run into that or if you had any opinions.
I mean, I haven't traveled much lately, but from like social media stuff I've seen like, and it's weird because like barbecues are just like national, right? Like there's Kansas City, North Carolina, whatever. But for some reason, internationally, Texas barbecue seems to be like the hottest,
Not
trend.
confusing to me.
Yeah. And
I haven't had the Kansas City. Jake probably can speak to that a little bit more. I've been in North Carolina. I went to Charlotte. I looked up their top Yelp reviewed to go back to Yelp, and I would not consider skipping a Heim visit to go to that place.
No, same for me in Kansas City.
yeah.
It was good, but
It's just a little bit. I mean, it's all a little bit different, but Texas too, beef, brisket. That's like our big deal. But then we also do like the pulled pork that the Carolinas do. We do ribs. Like Memphis. Is more of a dry rub rib, but it's all Texas kind of encompasses almost everything else, and most styles are kind of with sauce, whereas. Even in North Carolina, depending on East or West North Carolina, it could be ketchup based versus mustard based sauce, which is like, who cares, right? For us. But, Texas, we're just really good barbecue, like do whatever you want. But the thing that's been really weird to me, you guys have had the bacon burn-ins, that we do. Mm-hmm. So the idea for that was when we started before we did the food truck, we did like pop-ups, and it was like, we didn't even call it a pop-up or know what that was, but we got a smoker from my uncle, and it was basically like I could just cook stuff and we'd throw a party and have a bunch of people over, somebody play guitar, everyone's drinking, having a good time. So for one of the meat club, we called it, I was like, I want to put bacon in every single menu item, like just be obnoxious, right? So the first thing we did was I was like, a brisket burn-in traditionally is a Kansas City thing. They'll take the brisket and about halfway through, kind of cut it and take the fatty end off, cube that, put more sauce, rub, put that back on. So they're like little chunks, like sweet. And then they'll use the lean end. That's what they'll keep cooking and then use it for the sliced. So in Texas, like that's like sacrilege, right? Like you can't, like, this is how we cook brisket. There's one way to do it. So I was like, what if we did that sort of style, but did it with a slab of bacon? So, the rest is history. That's great. We sell a ridiculous amount of those, and it's awesome. There's places people have tagged me in London, Prague, New Zealand, and Australia have a huge like Texas barbecue scene. But all over the world where people are doing bacon burn-ins like how we do them, just because they've seen it on like Instagram or whatever.
Yeah. That's
so that's
cool.
Crazy. That's really cool. And I'd love to go to like one of those places, but
if you have to pick Prague.
Yeah. Cool.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And
it's a cool place.
Pretty cheap.
My brother,
at least on the list you just gave us.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, I think it was my brother-in-law, Emma's younger brother, and or maybe it was his friend or something. We were at something, and he was there and had talked to the guy, and he was like, "Oh, these are like a thing that we have at this place where I'm from." And the guy was like, Heim Barbecue, and literally like followed us on Instagram. So you're like, it's such a crazy thing now, social media. You
That's
can just
wild.
like do that. So it's cool. And then I just feel proud, like as Fort Worth Texan, that we're like our barbecue's spreading, all over the world.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So
The one in Berlin was good. It wasn't Heim, but it was. I certainly I've had barbecue that was much worse.
yeah.
In Berlin.
Dickies, for example.
Hey, come on. Do you
they a
miss doing
sponsor?
like because like for a while we were doing I don't even remember. There's a catering company in Fort Worth that were doing those like dinners. It was mostly like it was a Mexican food catering place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Magdalena's?
Yeah. And they were doing like once every 3 or 4 months.
Right.
They were kind of hard to get into, but they were awesome.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I'd ever done that before.
Yeah.
Like where the dude's just like, here's what we're having. You don't know what you're having beforehand.
They do those around here, but with weed.
Yeah, I've heard of that,
And
actually.
this is my open call for anyone who has those connections that you should invite me and Jake.
I will not be there.
I will be there.
That would be enjoyable.
I love weed.
But do you miss doing like stuff like that?
Yeah.
Because like that dude, if he felt like a mad scientist each time we went in there. It was like all sorts of crazy stuff, and then he had a cocktail for each one, and
Yeah.
it was cool.
Yeah. Juan Rodriguez
I think
is
that's
his
right.
name.
Yeah.
Not the baseball player, but he's a super nice guy, talented chef. And that it's like a dinner party, right?
Yeah.
Like they do like a menu for each thing, and it's not a restaurant, but then they do a lot of catering business. But it's great, really great stuff. Yes, to answer the question, I think like this is the thing that I think having a kid probably helped me refocus a little bit on just everything going on, because you just get dragged into the mundane, crap and like all the stuff we were dealing with. You feel the pressure of like now we have 180 employees, and with COVID, you're like, I have 180 families that are relying on us. And I realize the part of the business that I love is like cooking and creating food and like serving it, that whole experience. Like you guys come in, we have a great time, like want you to leave happy. I hate pretty much everything else. Like the hiring, the firing, like all dealing with vendors. Like,
it is weird
Yeah.
that like that's the set. Like I guess it makes sense, but like that if you have a successful restaurant, like and really you're gonna kind of end up screwed if you don't expand, right? Like so you've got to keep growing, and you're just a guy like I like to cook,
Yeah, I think I could be really happy just in a different world, just cooking somewhere full time, and now it's like the majority of my time spent in like meetings and stuff, and you're delegating, which is great. But too, that's also part of what's great about growing is almost everybody that's like on our, executive team or whatever you want to call it has been with us forever. So, when we opened Dallas, we brought over 2 guys that basically got a promotion, to doing the smokehouse and everything. So we're creating more opportunities where everybody can make more money, at the end of the day. But the recent thing is we're doing these barbecue classes, like cooking classes. And so I have one this Saturday, and it's like themed usually. And so my mom, who works with us, me and her will like do the menu, and we'll just do like, and so I spend like an hour or 2 just kind of talking about barbecue while we're doing, 5 or 6 courses. And that's been awesome. We're trying to do those like once a month, and it's really just like something for fun. But that's been really cool. This Saturday,
cool.
We're doing Tex-Mex barbecue.
I saw
themed.
that.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited.
Have you ever made this lets you know I'm out of questions. This isn't really Tex-Mex, but we went to Austin a couple months ago and our buddy made tablitas.
Yeah.
I've never had that before. That shit was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I guess it's basically just a rib cut the other way, kinda, and I guess it's seasoned.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, it's for such a small change.
Yeah.
It was odd to me. I'd never.
Yeah, it was really good.
It took 35 years for me to try it, but I was really into it.
Yeah, it's basically a plate short rib, and then you'll see it called like a cross cut short rib, and so they cut it that way or whatever. So they're really thin. In any like Mexican grocery, you can get them. Usually they'll have them, and they're freaking awesome to grill because it's got a lot of fat and like cartilage and stuff in it where you just grill it really good, and those are really good.
I need to pick some up.
Yeah.
That's all I got, TC.
All right. Well, yeah, this has been super cool.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Keep doing an awesome job.
When do breakfast tacos stop each day?
At
11:30.
10:30 usually.
10:30?
I think we say 10:30, but like you should be able to order them till 11.
Okay.
And then now too, we've tested out some kolaches that hopefully we'll start doing everywhere soon.
I've had them.
Yeah.
At least if they're the ones that used to be over at Swiss
The
Pastry.
Swiss Pastry, yeah.
I went in there and picked up a ton of them and took them up to the station one day.
They're
That's
so
what I do
good.
What
with
a good guy.
my lunch money.
Okay.
Instead of buying lunch for myself every
Buy
day.
food. All right.
Yeah, buy kolaches for the whole team.
Okay.
All right, well, TC's going to go fight Grimace. Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
That's it for tonight. The high school special is next, so until tomorrow, for everyone who's been a part of this one,
I'm TC and Jake.
we do thank you for watching. Good night.